Let's go. Hi, welcome to Coffee with Cass. So a lot of people have basically been asking me for quite some time to start this podcast, as I've had multiple businesses throughout the years. Currently, I've got an agency called Social Instinct, and we do quite a lot of different things from videography, photography, content creation, and so forth. So I kind of just want to talk to you guys today about a little bit about when you're going out for a client. And this doesn't have to be for a social media agency role. It could be for anything. So it could be if you're doing graphic designs, if you're looking at doing web design or whatever it might be, what the difference is between a client's expectations of somebody who's paying £500 to potentially somebody who's paying you £5,000 a month, because the differences are very similar in essence, but it's for then you to set that expectation with the clients about what's going to be expected. So let me explain. Over the years of me kind of starting off Social Instinct and also doing like freelance work with other people, when I've found that when somebody goes, I'll pay you £500 a month to do my social media, and what you need to remember is if somebody's offering around about £500 a month, there's two things. They're either small business with not a lot of money to spend on kind of their budget over marketing or so forth. And just remember that I'm talking about this from a marketing perspective just because it's more referring to myself, but this will be applicable to people who do other kind of services as well. So smaller people, and this kind of goes back to something that another agency owner once told me as well. When we pitch to try go for the bigger clients, because what will happen is that you might not get as many clients, but you actually have more time to spend on the bigger clients. So as I was saying, when you've got somebody who is a small business owner and they have £500, that £500, what you have to remember, is quite a lot of money to them. They don't have millions of pounds. They're not a big company. So when they try to say to you that they want you to take photos, they want you to potentially do some reels, some TikToks, and their expectations are that you're going to be posting for them potentially on a daily basis or every other day, or what the agreement is. This £500 to them, they're looking for a return on investment. And what that might look like might be completely different. It might be follows, it might be likes, it might be engagement, it might be views. Or it could potentially be conversions into sales if it's an e-commerce business. Now, what you need to remember is this person's expectations could be really high, and it's for you then to set that expectations with them so that you're not actually overstretching yourself for £500. Now, when you kind of look at the polar opposite of that and you've got a client who is paying you £5,000, that could be for sometimes the exact same service. Now, we've got an array of different clients and they pay us a difference of potentially some people pay us £5,000 per month, some people pay us £2,500 per month, and some people pay us less than that slightly. But what I have to do is set their expectations really clear from the start. Now, when you don't do that, and this has happened on variations of different occasions, is that they will start to expect more because you haven't set that expectation. But with a £5,000 client, they are a bigger business, they have more money to spend. They obviously not just have like throwing money out there, but they have more money to spend on your services, and you can potentially get 1 to 2 of these per month, opposed to getting 10 £500 clients, which will probably take you more time in order to service, manage, speak to them, and kind of cater for, opposed to when you're trying to do this one client who might be paying you a lot more. So you need to kind of weigh up the differences. Now, with our £5,000 clients, we do video production with them. So we do a lot of photo shoots and video, and we shoot that, and that's something that we can explain in a different video. And we do social posting. So we manage their socials. We also run their ads, and that could be from Facebook, TikTok to Google. So there's a lot of other services, and some people might be looking at this, watching this video and going, but these smaller people, I don't need to kind of get a bigger team involved in order to do the video, in order to do the social media side and kind of do the Google ads, or I might not know how to do that. So I actually take a less amount of money in order just to do the things that I know. which is great, and I get that, especially if you're starting off. I do encourage, obviously, you don't just reject these people who are paying smaller amounts, but you just need to really have that expectation set with them, because with, I'll give you an example. Funnily enough, it's a coffee brand that started, and we were getting £500. I was doing this by myself at the time, and I was spending hours because I had to do photos for them. So I was kind of doing set designs. I was kind of thinking about how I can place this coffee beans in certain aspects. After a while, you start running out of ideas, or you potentially have to start buying more props in. And then I was posting for them, and straight away they were saying that they weren't receiving a return on investment. The photography was great and they were really happy with the content, but then it was like, where's the return on investment? Because I couldn't actually spend money on ads. At the time, TikTok wasn't a thing, so organic trending themes weren't as kind of easy to get as most like Reels or TikToks were. So I had to really adjust, and eventually I ended up losing the client because they only had that £500 to spend. Now, going back to our £5,000 clients, when we talked about earlier that we actually managed their ad spend with that fee, now their ad spend is completely different compared to the fee that they pay us. So as I said before, these bigger businesses have bigger budgets, and they then will pay you as a service agreement £5,000, and then what they would do afterwards is that they will also have a separate budget, and that is obviously for us to then manage. So they would set a budget of, say, £5,000, £10,000 for ad spend, and that could be over Google, Facebook, in order to do a lot of lead generation and also brand awareness as well. So what I'm trying to say is, what you really want to focus on is trying to get 1 or 2 good clients, because the time, your time or your team's time, could be spent a lot more effectively and a lot more, well, definitely cost effectively, for more money and a higher return than it would be for you to do £500 by yourself. Now, if I was to break down that £5,000, I don't get that all for myself. I wish I did, but that's why we have to have a team involved, and then we get multiple clients paying £5,000, £10,000 per month, however much that is that I want to spend. So the way I have to see it from a team perspective is, if I was to have a videographer, a social media executive, an account manager to actually manage all these accounts, what does that cost? And then I have to kind of calculate and say, okay, if my clients are costing £5,000 and I was to get 3 of them, what would that cost? So it gives £15,000 in return, and the staff cost would be potentially around about £5,000, £6,000 in total per month. So if I'm paying £5,000 per month, it's £5,000, £6,000, however much it might be. I'm just giving examples here. And in total, we've got 3 clients paying us £15,000 in total. Then obviously our take home is going to be, if we say £10,000 return back. So it becomes a lot more viable, and we're getting less work, less management in order to achieve the same goal. So both small business and both big business both want return on investment, either that by leads, brand awareness, likes, however it works. So what you have to do is kind of just total up and go, if it's taking me this much time to potentially get that one person who's paying me that much, and then I'm getting X amount, my team can manage that, or I can freelance. You don't necessarily have to have a team. You can freelance it out. You can use resources such as things on Fiverr. You can look at other things like Upwork and so forth to get that resource in order to support you. You don't have to do everything yourself. You could just be the facilitator, so the person who actually branches the deals, get the deals. And eventually, over the kind of course of these YouTube videos, what I will do is I will break down certain elements of how it works for like freelancers versus full-time staff, and the benefits and pros and cons between the two. And then we'll kind of take it into kind of snippets like that. But I just want to kind of do this first initial video just to kind of talk to you about your expectations between the clients. Now, like I said before, I've been doing this for quite some time now. Our agency is still a small agency. I'm not saying that we're the biggest agency out there by any means necessary. And what we've done, and we've done really well, is that we've actually found a niche that we've actually become really good at. And we basically focus on that niche in order to generate new business. So our focus going into this year, 2023, is that we're going to be focusing a lot more on trying to bring new clients in. And like I said before, we get offered all the time for these small clients to kind of go, oh, can you help us out? And there's websites out there. If you want these small clients, I'm not too sure if it's applicable to the US or global, but there's the website here in the UK called Bark, and you can find people pretty easily who's willing to pay a couple £100 a month in order to like look for a social media manager or look for a web designer or look for a graphic designer, and you can actually really generate that £500. And it is pretty straightforward. If it's something that you're looking to do on the side and not a full-time kind of role, go for it. Get that extra £500, $500 per month by these websites like Bark. People basically post up on there looking for X, Y, and Z, and then you have to bid and try to get in front of these people as soon as possible. Now the trick is with Bark is that you actually have to be, as soon as somebody posts, you need to try be there the first person, because more than likely you're going to have 10 other people, 20 other people trying to bid for this piece of work. So with that website anyway, you have to really bid for it. And there's other websites such as Upwork and Fiverr and so forth as well, where you have to do the same. People per hour is exactly the same as well. And I'll do another video about these three sites, because it's something that I've used loads of times when I need resources and I basically need a graphic designer or somebody to create a thumbnail for a client or whatever it might be. I actually use some of these sites sometimes because they actually become a lot more cost effective and a lot more faster sometimes than getting my actual staff to be able to produce some of this work. So like I said before, this is just an introductory video to myself, and if you've got any questions, let me know, put some comments down below. And if you're interested in obviously learning more about how to make some money, how to go from a kind of side hustle world to a agency making £30,000, £40,000 per month, let me know. Subscribe, like, share, and there's a lot more to come. Speak soon.